How gay men can heal from conversion therapy. Hey guys, Michael Pizzulo here. I'm a psychotherapist in West Hollywood. So unfortunately, a lot of gay men and a lot of LGBT people in general have experienced something called conversion therapy, or reparative therapy it's sometimes called, which is basically it's a widely discredited practice that's not evidence-based at all, that is based off of the idea that you can somehow change or augment your sexuality. And usually it is applied to someone who is not straight to convert them to being straight. And we've seen this quite a lot in the gay community where, and often this happens during adolescence or early adulthood where, a gay identified teenager or young adult is taken to conversion therapy to change them from being gay to being straight. And what we're seeing now is that there are a lot of gay men who are adults now who have gone through this practice and are really traumatized by it. So if that's you, I want to offer you some ideas that you can take away and things you can start to think about in terms of your own healing. So first off, just to get the basic premise clear, conversion therapy is not therapy. It is not evidence-based. It is widely discredited. It's just simply not effective. Even if you are looking to change your sexuality, which I think that's a whole other topic, but the practice that they're doing is just simply does not work. So I think we can, on that basis alone, start to walk away from a lot of these practices, hopefully. And then more importantly is that we're seeing that the effect of this type of conversion therapy is actually extremely negative, that a lot of people that go through this have really severe mental health outcomes, including severe depression, even, suicidal ideation and attempts, and, it gets really, really bad. So the evidence is showing that not only does this practice not work, but it's actually really harmful. So, and the data shows it. So we can just get really clear on that premise alone. Then thinking about, if you've gone through this, and often this goes on for months or years, or sometimes they have these, I guess, camps or whatever, but you're going to be taking in a lot of negative messages about yourself if you go through this kind of therapy. I'm saying therapy even though I don't think it's therapy, but just what I'm talking about. But it's so antithetical to the therapeutic process itself, right? Which is supposed to be about, finding your authenticity and supporting your self-esteem and supporting your identity. And this is doing the exact opposite. And I think what I find too with people who've gone through this is that they're bombarded with a lot of very explicit negative messages about themselves that, being gay is wrong and it's a sin or it's a, whatever. But a lot of the messaging they get is also very implicit. There's a lot of subtleties that are thrown in there that just sort of reinforce over and over again that something about them is shameful or wrong, which I think, a lot of LGBT, a lot of gay men have experienced. But if you've gone through conversion therapy, you've really been indoctrinated into this. So I think a lot of the healing is going to be about unpacking all of those messages that you received that were very shaming and negative, and even messages that may not seem so overtly hostile that actually did have some sort of flavor of homophobia to them. And then I think the most important thing is going to be learning to trust yourself again and finding your own voice, right? Because the truth is, we go through the world and we encounter different cultures and different religions. And I know obviously a lot of conversion therapy is promoted by, more conservative, certain religions are promoted more than others. But the task should really be about crafting your own belief systems, right? And again, a therapist is not supposed to brainwash or indoctrinate you into what they think. They're supposed to help you, guide you along, with obviously the guardrails and the premise of helping support your mental health. But the conversion therapy, they have an agenda that they're pretty clear about, right? So thinking about doing therapy now as an adult, especially if you're healing from this, you're going to want to talk about and really think about, how do I develop my own belief systems? How do I learn to trust myself again and tap into what I think is true about sexuality and who I'm attracted to and so on and so forth, rather than letting other people dictate for me what my belief system should be. So I think that's going to be a really important step. This one might seem obvious, but finding affirmative spaces, I think that's universal for all of us, right? We want to go places in the world where we're accepted and celebrated, but especially if you've been part of an environment where you've been rejected or been subjected to so much negativity, then thinking about really finding groups that you are affirmed and supported, I think will be really essential to counterbalance a lot of that negativity that you were subjected to. And then the last thing I'll say, and I think this is optional, but I think a process that you may also encounter is some form of forgiveness. Because unfortunately, a lot of times the people that, encourage one to go to conversion therapy are their loved ones, right? It's going to be their family, their parents, maybe their church. And oftentimes these are the people that you love and trust the most, which is why it's so compelling to listen to what they're saying. And it's going to be different for everyone. Hopefully those people in your life, if they did encourage you to go to conversion therapy, now see the error in that. And that's, I think probably the best case scenario. They may not have changed their beliefs, and that obviously makes having a relationship with them more complicated if you want to. But you may also want to think about how, if you want, to incorporate some form of forgiveness into this too, right? Because I think we all know that resentment leads to a lot of negativity that you're holding on to. And there's likely going to be some resentment to process as you unpack all of this, which makes perfect sense because there are people that have likely wronged you or encouraged you along the wrong path. But also thinking about, is there a place for forgiveness in this as well? Were there people who thought they were doing the right thing and maybe encouraged you to do something that they thought was good for you and now realize it wasn't, or I don't know. So I just encourage you to think about that. That step is definitely optional. I don't think it's mandatory. I think the other phases are much more essential, but just wanted to throw it out there for you to consider in case that does appeal to you. But most importantly, if you are a gay man who's gone through this, you're absolutely not alone. There's a lot of studies coming out showing how many gay men have experienced some form of reparative or conversion therapy in their life. And we want to, create spaces where we can talk about these things and support each other, and that you can reach out for help, and that know that there is a place of healing and really getting beyond this and not allowing this negativity to, hold you hostage the rest of your life. So I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if you've gone through conversion therapy. I'd love to hear your experiences, and hopefully we can continue to, put our heads together and create new ideas and help each other heal. So thanks, guys.